Good morning, dear students. Here we are again going to discuss about class 9 history chapter first, the French Revolution, and now we are on part second. Chapter first, French Revolution, part second. The first part we had discussed. The video has also been released. In this part of video, what points we are going to discuss about? The outbreak of revolution, the initial process, what led to the outbreak of the revolution, what conditions were there, who uh, influenced the people in France to revolt, then what was the famous tennis court oath in the history of French Revolution, then how France became a constitutional monarchy. We are going to discuss about these three things. Basically, the tennis court oath is included in this point, the outbreak of revolution, but it has a great significance. That's why we will be discussing it separately. So, without wasting time, let's start the outbreak of revolution. So, let me introduce you to the conditions or circumstances which instigates the people in France to revolt against the king. In 1789, Louis XVI called together a meeting of State General. In first part, we had discussed that when Louis XVI became the king of France, he found an empty treasury, and we also discussed the reason for the same in the previous video. So he was in a great need of money, and we also know that the French society was divided into three states, and the first two states, the first state clergy and the second state nobility, weren't paying any kind of taxes and were very wealthy, and they owned a huge amount of land in France also. They were of 10%, approximately 10% of the whole population. The third state consists of 90% population but has very little amount of land. Agricultural production, industrial production, and the revenue from these two was also very dull, very less. The king was not able to extract money in the form of revenue from the members of first state and second state, so he has to increase the taxes as the taxes were paid by the member of the third state. And it was not easy for him to impose or increase the rate of tax from the from his will or at पर his will, अपनी इच्छा से वो टैक्स ना ही नए लगा सकता था और ना ही वो टैक्स पुराने टैक्स के रेट्स को इंक्रीज कर सकता था. There was a process for doing such thing, and that was calling a meeting of state generals representative in which the proposal of increasing taxes would be introduced, and after getting passed the proposal from the States General meeting, they would be implemented. So this time also, the last meeting of State General was called in 1615. So this time, King Louis XVI was in great need, and he had no other option, alternative, from where he can obtain money. So he decided to call the meeting. So in 1789, Louis XVI called together an assembly of the States General to pass proposals for new taxes. अब इसका एक प्रोसीजर था, एक प्रोसेस होता था, किसके कितने मेंबर जाएंगे, कौन कौन से रिप्रेजेंटेटिव होंगे, किसको उधर एंट्री मिलेगा, किसको नहीं मिलेगा, कौन वहां कौन कैसे बैठेगा, सारा सिस्टम होता था. सो द फर्स्ट एंड सेकंड स्टेट्स, क्लर्की एंड नोबिलिटी, sent 300 representatives each. 300 representatives from the first state and 300 representatives from the second state, who were seated in rows facing each other. एक दूसरे की तरफ मुंह करके बैठे थे, जैसे राजा साहब का दरबार लगता है, राजा साहब सेंट्रल में बैठे हैं, ऊपर दाहिने और बाएं तरफ के दरबारी बैठे हैं एक दूसरे की तरफ मुंह करके. तो उसी तरह का प्रोसीजर था. थर्ड स्टेट ने 600 मेंबर्स भेजे. थर्ड स्टेट ने 600 रिप्रेजेंटेटिव भेजे जिन्हें बैठने के लिए जगह नहीं थी. वो फर्स्ट स्टेट और सेकंड स्टेट या दरबार में दूसरी कहीं जगह पर खड़े रहते. Peasants, artisans and women were not allowed to enter or to take part in that meeting. Voting in the past was conducted on the idea that each state as a whole had one vote. अब यहाँ पे वोटिंग के सिस्टम को समझिए जरा. तो यहाँ पे तीन कैटेगरी है बेसिकली. अगर आप कैटेगरी या ग्रुप वाइज समझें, एक ग्रुप है फर्स्ट स्टेट का, एक ग्रुप है सेकंड स्टेट का और एक ग्रुप है थर्ड स्टेट का. इसमें मेंबर 300 हैं, इसमें मेंबर 300 हैं, इसमें 600 हैं. तो अगर ग्रुप वाइज देखें तो देयर आर 3 ग्रुप एंड इफ टोटल नंबर वाइज वी सी देन देयर आर 1200 members. But since past the voting was done on the basis of group and this tradition was kept continuing because it was very helpful to the rulers. Reason how it was helpful? The first state and the second state, they were exempted from paying taxes and even they were having power to extract or obtain taxes from the third state. So when it comes to the voting, they both agreed. जब भी वोटिंग का नंबर आता, टैक्स इंक्रीज करने का नंबर आता, तो फर्स्ट स्टेट और सेकंड स्टेट मिल दो हो जाते और थर्ड स्टेट सिंगल बचता. तो एक के मुकाबले दो, मेजॉरिटी हो गई, प्रपोजल पास, नया टैक्स या पुराने टैक्स का रेट इंक्रीज हो जाता था और थर्ड स्टेट को देना पड़ता था. दिस वोटिंग सिस्टम वाज आल्सो हियर, यहाँ पे भी the king, the member of first state and the second state were willing to have voting on the group basis, but this time the member of third state, representatives of third state, which were carrying 40,000 letters of complaint or various other things from those who were not allowed to enter, they denied this process of voting. They demanded that the voting should be individual basis. Voting individual basis पर होनी चाहिए. उसका कारण क्या है? उसका कारण ये है, there was some supporters of third state. There was some supporters of third state in first state and in second state. फर्स्ट स्टेट और सेकंड स्टेट में थर्ड स्टेट के कुछ सपोर्टर थे. And they were believing that if the individual voting would be done, they will get the maximum amount of majority vote. एग्जाम्पल के तौर पे दो नाम आते हैं जो आपकी टेक्स्ट बुक में है. नाम तो और भी बहुत सारे हैं लेकिन आप अपनी टेक्स्ट बुक को रेफर करें. तो एक है मीराबियो और एक है एबेसियस. एबेसियस एक प्रीस्ट थे, वो क्लेर्गी या फर्स्ट स्टेट से बिलोंग करते थे एंड मीराबियो एक नोबल परिवार में जन्मे थे, वो सेकंड स्टेट से बिलोंग करते थे, बट दे वर इन सपोर्ट ऑफ थर्ड स्टेट. They also believe in the end of privileges based on birth, which were given to the members of first and second state. They also wanted that these two states, the first state and second state members, should also pay taxes. Now, the representative of third state, as they demanded that the voting should be on individual basis, it was quite obvious that the member of first state, second state, and the ruler, they denied. तो अभी दोनों पक्ष आमने सामने हो गए, एक कह रहा पुराने से वोटिंग हो रही, एक कह रहे नए से वोटिंग होगी. और ये जो नए से वोटिंग कराने के लिए कह रहे हैं थर्ड स्टेट के मेंबर, from where they got this confidence? They were quite influenced by the three philosophers which we had discussed earlier. So they were getting inspiration from there also. जब बात नहीं जमी, काफी बहस होती रही, आर्ग्यूमेंट होता रहा. Lastly क्या हुआ? The members of third state demanded that each individual should be given the right to vote. And when this was denied, basically it was a democratic principle by Rousseau. Rousseau, Jean-Jacques Rousseau, has stated this principle, right to vote principle, in his book The Social Contract. This proposal was rejected by the king. Member of third state walked out of the assembly in protest. जब इंडिविजुअल वोटिंग का प्रपोजल रिजेक्ट कर दिया गया बाय द किंग, देन द मेंबर्स ऑफ द थर्ड स्टेट और द रिप्रेजेंटेटिव्स ऑफ द थर्ड स्टेट, दे वॉकड आउट ऑफ द असेंबली. असेंबली से चले गए विरोध प्रदर्शन के लिए. दे वर लेड बाय मीराबियो एंड एलिसियस. मीराबियो फ्रॉम द second state, Elisseus from the first state. They were also the supporter of third state. वो भी उनके साथ चले गए और उनके साथ उन्हीं के जैसे और भी मानने वाले लोग जो फर्स्ट स्टेट और सेकंड स्टेट से बिलोंग करते थे, they also went. अभी वो चले गए, तब क्या होगा? क्या होगा? थर्ड स्टेट टेनिस कोर्ट की ओर का मामला मैंने पहले भी बताया है, that is a part of this topic, but we will discuss that further. The third state declared themselves as the National Assembly, drafted the constitution on which will limit the powers of the monarch. चलिए पहले टेनिस कोर्ट की ओर पे चलते हैं. यहाँ पे जैसा बताया गया है कि when the king refused the proposal of individual voting, the members of the third state along with some supporters from the first state and second state walked out of the assembly in protest. So where they went? वो कहीं गए नहीं, पास में ही एक इंडोर टेनिस कोर्ट था, वहां जाकर इकट्ठा हो गए और वहां उन्होंने कुछ काम किया, कुछ कसम खाई, प्रतिज्ञा करी. वही टेनिस कोर्ट की खोज के नाम से जाना जाता है. क्या हुआ देखिए, on 20th June, members of third state assembled in the hall of an indoor tennis court and declared themselves as a national assembly and swore. मतलब कसम खाई. 20 जून को थर्ड स्टेट के मेंबर रिप्रेजेंटेटिव अपने फर्स्ट स्टेट और सेकंड स्टेट के सपोर्टर्स के साथ एक टेनिस कोर्ट, इंडोर टेनिस कोर्ट में इकट्ठा होते हैं और अपने आप को वो नेशनल असेंबली घोषित करते हैं और कसम खाते हैं not to disperse till they had drafted a constitution for France that would limit the powers of the monarch. और उन्होंने कहा कि हम कसम खाते हैं हम यहाँ से तब तक नहीं हटेंगे जब तक हम फ्रांस के लिए एक कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन का निर्माण नहीं कर लेते हैं। ऐसा कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन जो राजा की शक्तियों पर नियंत्रण रखेगा, नियंत्रण लगाएगा। ठीक है भाई, अभी उन्होंने क्या किया, मेंबर ऑफ द स्टेट assembled in the Indonesian court, they called themselves National Assembly, drafted a constitution which will limit the powers of the monarchs. अब आगे क्या हुआ, ये सब काम चल रहा था। The citizens which were not participating in the assembly or which were not included, what they did, as they heard about this incident, that the king has rejected the proposal of individual voting and the member of the third state, the representatives of the third state has walked out, so they revolted, उन्होंने विद्रोह शुरू कर दिया। So there was an outbreak on the street, सड़कों पर विद्रोह शुरू हो गया। Where crowds of angry women stormed into shops, दुकानों में, मकानों में, ऑफिसों में लूटपाट शुरू हो गई, मारकाट शुरू हो गई, आगजनी शुरू हो गई। पूरे पेरिस शहर में हंगामा कट गया। वहीं पास में एक फोर्ट्रेस प्रिजन है, बास्टील, and that prison was fortress prison was used for keeping political prisoners, and that was the symbol of king's autocratic and despotic powers. So, nearly 7,000 people gathered nearby the Bastille on 14th July 1789. They stormed into the Bastille prison, killed the guards, looted the ammunition, and they freed the prisoners which were kept there. And then the Bastille, a fortress, was destroyed and broken into parts. बास्तील दुर्ग के किले के बड़े बड़े टुकड़े लोगों ने सोवेनियर के तौर पर, निशानी के तौर पर अपने घरों में रखे। उनका बांट की तरह इस्तेमाल किया जाने लगा बाजारों में, दुकानों में। That was the ultimate insult to the despotic and autocratic power of monarch. पूरे पेरिस शहर में और दूसरे शहरों में, फ्रांस के दूसरे शहरों में जैसे जैसे खबर पहुंचती गई, रिवॉल्यूशन आउटब्रेक हो गई। ग्रामीण क्षेत्रों में, कंट्री साइड में क्या हुआ, इन कंट्री साइड देयर वर nobles, feudal lords, manors, which were also very despotic and autocratic and were exploiting the peasants and farmers very badly. So a rumor spread that these people had called the band of brigades. Band of brigades means डाकुओं का गिरोह. That these people had called the band of brigade, and those people, the band of brigades, will destroy our crops, will burn our houses, and they will also try to kill us. As this rumor spread, so the peasants and artisans in the countryside, they also started revolting. So whatever instrument they get to hand, took that and attacked the houses of the feudal lords, manors, as they were ready to die or kill, and were large in number also. So they stormed into the houses of feudal lords, nobles, manors. Whatever they get, the hoarded grains were looted, the raw material or the finished products were looted, burned, houses and furnitures, precious things were destroyed. Seeing this kind of revolt from the peasants and artisans, many of the nobles and landlords, feudal lords, fled to another countries, neighboring countries. Meanwhile, the king also retaliated. He ordered troops to enter into Paris. After hearing this, the people in France, people in Paris, after hearing this, that the king has ordered troops, ordered army to enter into Paris and punish the revolutionaries. So what they did, they destroyed the Bastille. In countryside, peasants looted hoarded grains, burned documents. Large number of nobles were migrated to neighboring countries. ये बता चुका हूँ मैं आपको. When the things went out of the hand of the king Louis XVI and he had no other alternative but to surrender, he finally recognized the National Assembly and accepted that his powers would now be checked by the Assembly and by the Constitution. अब जब कोई रास्ता नहीं बचा, तब लुइस 16 ने नेशनल असेंबली को मान्यता दे दी, उनके बनाए कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन को मान्यता दी और ये स्वीकार किया कि अब से उसकी पावर्स पर नेशनल असेंबली और कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन का लिमिटेशन रहेगा. अब उसके बाद के कुछ घटनाक्रम है. On 4th August 1789, the Assembly passed an order abolishing the feudal privileges and taxes. We know that the first state and second state were having exemption from paying taxes and they were also enjoying various kind of rights by birth only, although they were not worthy. So, National Assembly passed an order to abolish the feudal privileges and taxes which were extracted by them. Clergies were also forced to give up their privileges. Tithes, that was a tax extracted by the clergies, that was 1/10 of the total produce. Tithes were abolished. Land owned by church was also confiscated. नोबल्स के साथ ये हुआ, जो फ्यूडल लॉर्ड्स थे उनके साथ ये हुआ, क्लर्कीज के साथ में ये हुआ. ठीक है. इससे क्या हुआ? Thus government acquired asset of at least 2 billion livres. गवर्नमेंट को, नेशनल असेंबली या उस समय की जो फ्रेंच गवर्नमेंट एस्टैब्लिश हुई, उसको इन सब कामों से लगभग 2 बिलियन लीवर जो कि उस समय फ्रेंच करेंसी थी, मुद्रा थी वहां की, उतने अमाउंट का एसेट गवर्नमेंट ने कॉन्फिस्केट किया. आगे बढ़ते हैं. तो ये टेनिस कोर्ट की ओर, जिसके बारे में हम लोग चर्चा कर चुके हैं. इट हैज अ ग्रेट सिग्निफिकेंस इन द हिस्ट्री ऑफ फ्रांस and a great inspiration for various other incidents. Now, the France become constitutional monarchy. Before we discuss this flowchart, let us discuss something more. The National Assembly drafted the Constitution in 1789. Drafting work of the Constitution by the National Assembly was completed in 1791. The main objective of the Constitution of the draft was to limit the powers of the monarch. जो मुख्य उद्देश्य था, that was to limit the powers, the absolute autocratic, despotic, exploitative powers of the monarchs, and it also demolishes the principles of king's divine powers. राजा की शक्तियों को खत्म करना या उन पर लिमिटेशन लगाना मेन ऑब्जेक्टिव था. And then a government was formed, and as one of the philosopher had stated in his book. So this is question for you people, that which philosophers and in which book he had stated this. किस फिलोसफर ने अपनी किस पुस्तक में बताया है, ये आइडिया दिया है कि पावर्स शुड बी सेपरेटेड एंड असाइन्ड टू different organ of the government, the legislature, the executive and the judiciary. This is question for you. You may write your answer in the comment box. एक फिलोसफर है जिन्होंने ये आइडिया प्रपोज किया था, तो उनके आइडिया को इम्प्लीमेंट करते हुए पावर्स को डिस्ट्रीब्यूट कर दिया गया, उनके अलग अलग वर्क असाइन कर दिए गए. लेजिस्लेचर, द एग्जीक्यूटिव एंड द जुडिशरी, ये आप जानते हैं इनके क्या क्या वर्क होते हैं, कैसे काम करते हैं. दिस मेड फ्रांस अ कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल मोनार्ची, और इस तरह से फ्रांस एक कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल मोनार्ची बनता है जहां पे राजा है, किंग इज द हेड ऑफ द स्टेट, but the state is administered by the assembly, national assembly, with the help of a drafted constitution. This constitution gave the powers to national assembly, the national assembly which was directly elected to make laws. The election procedure of this national assembly we will discuss in the flow chart. Only active citizen can vote. अभी यहाँ इलेक्शन की बात करी है, डायरेक्टली इलेक्टेड नेशनल असेंबली. Who can vote? Who can elect their representative or representatives of the national assembly? Who has the right to vote? So at that time, the people, the population was divided into two parts or two elements, the active citizen and passive citizen. Active citizen and passive citizen. अब ये क्या है इसको जान लेते हैं. फर्स्ट एक्टिव सिटीजन, men above 25 years, men above 25 years who paid the taxes equal to the 3 days wages of a laborer. एक मजदूर के 3 दिन के मेहनताने के बराबर जो पैसा होता है, उतना पैसा टैक्स के रूप में जो पुरुष जिसकी उम्र 25 या उससे अधिक है गवर्नमेंट को दे पाता है, सिर्फ वही एक्टिव सिटीजन कहलाएगा. पैसिव में कौन आएंगे? Women's were not given any type of voting right, whether they are below 25 or above 25. Women's were not. Women माने अंगा, उस समय के हिसाब से अंगा माने कुछ नहीं. They were not having the voting right. Women, children, and men below 25 years, men below 25 years, and those men who were of 25 plus year but not able to pay or fulfill this condition. महिलाएं, बच्चे, 25 वर्ष से कम के पुरुष, और वो पुरुष जो 25 वर्ष से है तो अधिक के, लेकिन वो ये कंडीशन फुलफिल नहीं कर पाते कि वो एक मजदूर के 3 दिन के वेतन के बराबर का पैसा टैक्स के रूप में गवर्नमेंट के पास जमा नहीं कर पाते. तो ऐसे लोगों को पैसिव सिटीजन कहा गया, और 25 वर्ष से ऊपर के उन पुरुषों को जो एक मजदूर के 3 दिन के वेतन के बराबर पैसा टैक्स के फॉर्म में गवर्नमेंट को दे सकते थे जब डिपॉजिट किया था, वो एक्टिव सिटीजन कहलाए. और उन्हीं को वोटिंग राइट्स दिए गए। नाउ वी विल डिस्कस अबाउट द फ्लो चार्ट। You can see over here the political system under the Constitution of 1791. देखिए यहाँ पे लिखा है पैसिव सिटीजन, नो वोटिंग राइट अबाउट 3 मिलियन मेन, करीब 3 मिलियन ऐसे पुरुष थे जिनके पास वोटिंग राइट नहीं था। इसके अलावा वीमेन, चिल्ड्रन एंड यूथ बिलो 25 इयर्स, ये मैंने आपको बताया। अब एक्टिव सिटीजन इंटाइटल्ड टू वोट, वोट देने का अधिकार रखते थे, उनको दिया गया था। करीब 4 मिलियन लोग थे ऐसे, ठीक है, आउट ऑफ 28 मिलियन पॉपुलेशन, only 4 million such male were there who were entitled to vote and were considered as active citizen. अब यही एक्टिव सिटीजन वोट करते थे और जजेस चुनते थे, judges which are a part of judiciary. So in this flow chart you can see that the legislature is there, executive is there and judiciary is there. Member of the judiciary were elected by the active citizen, you can see from here. Then these active citizens vote to elect their representative. इलेक्टर्स कहा जाता था, ये एक्टिव सिटीजन्स जिनको चुनते थे उनको इलेक्टर कहा जाता था। ऐसे करीब 50,000 पुरुष चुने जाते थे एंड देन दीज 50,000 मेल vote to choose 755 members of the National Assembly. पहले सामान्य जनता से इलेक्टर चुने जाते थे और फिर ये इलेक्टर नेशनल असेंबली के मेंबर्स चुनते थे। तो यहाँ पे जो नंबर दिया गया है इलेक्टर्स का, दैट वाज 50,000 एंड फिर ये 15,000 इलेक्ट करते थे 755 मेंबर्स को, जो कि नेशनल असेंबली के लेजिस्लेटिव बॉडी के पार्ट होते थे। एग्जीक्यूटिव में देखिए दो पार्ट है, एक है राजा साहब और एक है मिनिस्टर्स। मिनिस्टर्स तो होते हैं, कैबिनेट ऑफ मिनिस्टर होती है, लेजिस्लेचर से ही मिनिस्टर बनते थे और इन मिनिस्टर्स पर नेशनल असेंबली का डायरेक्ट कंट्रोल होता था। किंग के ऊपर भी, राजा के ऊपर भी नेशनल असेंबली या की लेजिस्लेचर कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन का कंट्रोल होता था। But the king has the veto power also. What it means veto power? Veto power means if any of the proposal is not accepted or king is not willing to accept any of the proposal given to him by National Assembly, the National Assembly was not able to force or National Assembly cannot force the king to accept that proposal. Veto power means ये होता है, ठीक है। National Assembly has control over king and his powers. National Assembly has control over ministers, the ministers which were from the legislature, from 745 members. So this is a flow chart in which we can see the administration in the France. The legislature body was there, executive body is there, and the judiciary is there, and how the people in these bodies were elected or represented. Who were the active citizens, who were the passive citizens. So this was the process or manner in which the National Assembly was working in the France. ये हो गया है active citizen, passive citizen. Okay, now thank you for watching. So students, this was your part second of history chapter first, French Revolution. I hope you would like this video and explanation. If you want any more clarification or anything else, you may Write those suggestions and advices in the comment box also. It is request to you that for your convenience, this all effort has been made. So please watch the video full. Okay. We will be meeting very soon with the new part or next part of this chapter. Till then, have a good day. Bye.